My name is Orville Arscott. I am 51 years old. I was diagnosed with multiple myeloma or bone marrow cancer in 2014. Right now I'm at the stage where I've had a relapse, so I've just been through chemo again. When I was diagnosed, it was in the lumbar. The signs of it was in the lumbar and all of the what you call the long bones, so like the femur, and all those bones had signs of it. And how it really reveals itself is that you have excess protein in your blood and also calcium, because what happens is that the disease causes your calcium to be dissolved from your bone into the blood. So it causes a weakening of the bones and brittleness. For some bone marrow cancer patients, they have to wear what you call a back brace. So you will see some people with braces, and usually it's bone marrow cancer. I was in the process of purchasing a piece of real estate, and in doing so, the bank required you to have some form of insurance. So I went to Sagicor to do the checks in order to get the insurance, when they told me that there was some adverse finding from the blood test. So from that point I went back to my GP. We did a myriad of tests, and when they did the final set of tests, they realized that something was wrong. They did what I call a full body scan, X-ray, and they found what they saw. It was some lesions in the bones. They sent me to a hematologist. We did electrophoresis, which confirmed that I had bone marrow cancer. 1 week after being diagnosed, I was told that I would have to start chemotherapy, because at that point it was that advanced. I think it was beyond stage 3. So we get into the mode of doing chemotherapy, and then it was about getting a cure, which from my research at the time, it was about autologous bone marrow transplant, in which they actually reap your stem cells, and in layman terms, they clean it up, then they remove the rest of your bone marrow and reintroduce it with a graft, and then the process starts back where you start producing good bone marrow cells. Having not known much about the advances in the science, at the time, my only knowledge of a bone marrow transplant was from another human to a human, like from a blood relative, which ironically I don't have any full blood relative, because I'm the only one that my mom and dad had together. So having done further research and joining the IMF group, which is the International Myeloma Foundation, there's a chapter in Jamaica, and we're having a symposium coming up next month. I went there and I got information that the bone marrow transplant could be done in Cuba, because at first we were looking at going to the States, but at the Moffitt Cancer Center. But in 2014, the cost of that transplant was $320,000 US. So it was a bit of a stretch, and you had to pay 50% before you arrive, and there was other fees. So back then it was in the region of $30 million. After I was diagnosed, I didn't actually get to do the transplant until about a year, 2 years after I was originally diagnosed. Because when I first went to Cuba to do the transplant, ironically, having been prepared to do the bone marrow transplant and started the process, the machine which was supposed to reap the bone marrow, extract it, that machine broke. So I had to leave Cuba after about a month, came back to Jamaica, and the following year I went to do the transplant. That's in 2016. Having returned to Jamaica within a week, the most deadly thing for any transfusion patient is I got an infection. So I ended up in the university, ended up at UWI for about a week or two, because I got an from that, slowly recovered until life slowly returned to normal for 3 years. Until October last year, I went for one of my routine because since I've returned, because I had the kidney failures, I was constantly going to my doctor because when you do the transplant, you have to get back all the immunization shots and all of that. So the mums, all the shots that you get as a kid. Because once you do the transplant, all that has been removed and has to be reintroduced. So I got back the shots and was going to the doctor checking on the kidneys because from time to time the numbers would go off. So one of the routine checks that I went to do in October, the blood test came up okay, but I told the doctor that I had felt like a tenderness in they call it the clavicle right here. She did an examination and sent me to do an MRI. Result came back and said there was a tumor actually growing in the clavicle. When I consulted the doctor who did the transplant in Cuba, he said that yes, that can occur. Because when you do the bone marrow transplant, the literature says that you get literally 4 years cancer-free, 4 years of quality life. You shouldn't have any problems. Well, mine came back just before the 4 years, so he was saying that can be expected, especially if you are not on what they call a maintenance program. But the maintenance programs, they are expensive at times. There's one drug that was around that, when I heard the price first, it was just ridiculous, 11,000 US per month. Nobody can afford that. When I was first diagnosed and I tried to encourage people, I had one of those critical illness plans. It wasn't much, but it was a start with the same surgical. So at least you get something to start the program. Because back then, the drug that I was taking was it was like 170,000 a pop, Velcade, and it was like I had to do 12 rounds of chemo, so 170,000 times 12, you can imagine. And that was just one drug. And I also had to do bone treatment. Because having developed the lesions, there are some drugs that you can take to repair it. Right now I'm at home, some to go to the doctor when I go back in February to take care of the lesions.
Okay.
So, that part of it, work. If you are employed, I don't think much employees could give you so much time off because for the entire time I was out, for the 2 years, maybe about more than half the time. Because going through chemo, you have high days and low days and that sort of thing. So that's part of the challenge to get the time. And with face, if you are the breadwinner, you can understand how devastating that can be. Because a lot of people, I tell them it's not the cancer that kills them, it's the fact that, the cost is prohibitive. It's a pity that more cannot be done by the authorities because myeloma is not really supported by the government because it affects such a low percentage of the population. You'll more hear programs for breast cancer, prostate cancer, and those are more popular. Support was good from family and friends, and even co-workers, church communities. Everybody pulled together, a lot of praying. Because, funny enough, my general practitioner, who was the doctor I went through after I got that result to say that there was some adverse finding. Up until today, his name is Dr. James Peart. He refers to me as a miracle man.
Why?
Because of the state that I left. At one stage, I was confined to a wheelchair. The state that I left, and then I came back and I'm doing so well. The best part about the journey is that, as I've said to a lot of people, having been faced with immortality, you have a different outlook on life. is like everything it comes into perspective, what is important and what is not. And as I would tell you, one of the most important things we have is the relations we have with each other.